Archangel Michael heard your name in the mouth of someone who pretends to love you. You felt it. You just couldn't prove it. Until now. The air around you shifted the moment your name left their lips. It wasn't said in reverence. It carried venom wrapped in charm. You felt a chill days ago, like heaven shivered for your sake. That was not paranoia. It was protection rising around you. Archangel Michael leaned in closer than ever to your soul. He heard your name echoing in circles of false affection. Not whispered in prayer, but passed in schemes behind smiles. You always knew love shouldn't feel like walking on glass. But you gave grace, again and again, hoping they'd change. Now the truth is unraveling. Michael is pulling the thread. He hovered above the conversation, unseen but not silent. His sword burned with righteous light, vibrating with warning. Your name, spoken like currency, traded for shallow power. That's when heaven made a decision to show you the truth. Not through wrath but revelation. Not through vengeance but light. You were never crazy. Your spirit just caught what eyes couldn't. Because you're divinely tuned, even when the world mocks it. And what you felt, every twitch in your stomach, was real. Michael watched them closely as they smiled in your face. He saw what was hidden and brought it to light for you. There are those who fake love to stay close and feed off you. They admire your power but hate your purity and grace. They pretend they are allies, but your downfall fuels their dreams. They mimic kindness like actors, rehearsing betrayal in private. But Archangel Michael steps forward now with holy fire. No longer will you mistake manipulation for love again. This is the beginning of divine exposure and clean release. You are entering a season where masks must fall completely. No more shadows. No more doubts. No more false feelings. You will not be deceived by counterfeit hearts any longer. You held your pain in silence because the proof was missing. But heaven never needs human receipts to justify your grief. Michael doesn't move by rumor. He moves by sacred knowing. He has traced the spiritual fingerprints on every betrayal. You trusted someone who studied you only to break you. You loved someone who wore your secrets like jewelry. They didn't love you. They loved your access, your light. But your light was never theirs to steal or manipulate. And now Michael draws a sword between you and all pretense. What was hidden in darkness will not survive this light. Type I am rising to get blessing 5678. Archangel Michael stands with his wings outstretched in fury. He has seen enough of the deception wrapped in tenderness. You gave your heart while they gave you half-truths and lies. But their time of pretending has reached a supernatural end. Heaven is no longer permitting them to borrow your favor. Their access to you was granted during your season of grace. But now, Michael is reclaiming what was never truly theirs. The light you carry is a calling, not a convenience for others. And it will no longer be abused under the disguise of love. You are being repositioned beyond reach of false loyalty. Michael whispers to you in dreams and quiet nudges. You've been waking up at odd hours with heavy thoughts. You've walked into rooms and felt the energy collapse. That's not just intuition. It's angelic intel being activated. Your spirit has always been the antenna tuned to heaven. And now Michael is revealing the ones who were never true. He's bringing clarity with every sacred whisper you receive. The ones you loved without limit are about to be exposed. Not to shame them, but to free you from spiritual traps. Because your name is too holy to echo in deceitful places. They pretended to love you but never celebrated you. They clapped for your victories but secretly cursed them. They laughed with you but rolled their eyes behind your back. Michael heard it all. The curses coded in fake compliments. He knows the power of your name, so he guards it fiercely. And when it was spoken in disrespect, heaven took record. Now every word will be reversed, and every lie dissolved. Not by your hand, but by divine hands far more powerful. You were never meant to fight these silent battles alone. Michael has always fought in silence. Until now. You'll soon notice shifts, unexplained withdrawals and exits. Don't chase what God is clearing. Let the masks fall freely. The ones who disappear were never anchored in your destiny. They were assigned to observe, distract, and deter your rise. But that assignment has expired, and Michael has spoken. You are stepping into a season where real is the only rule. No more tolerating what drains your divine inheritance. No more hoping toxic roots will bear healing fruit. This is the hour of supernatural unmasking and protection. Archangel Michael is separating wolves from your circle. You're not losing people, you're shedding interference. Heaven has heard your cries that you couldn't articulate. You prayed for peace, and God responded with clarity. And sometimes, clarity comes by cutting away contamination. The one who said I love you while planning your fall, their words will return void, and their intentions revealed. You may feel sorrow in the moment, but joy is coming. Because this exposure isn't punishment, it's preservation. You will no longer confuse emotional parasites for partners. This is the divine separation you didn't know you needed. Type I am blessed to get the blessing 3636. Archangel Michael has declared war on your hidden enemies. Not the obvious ones, but the ones cloaked in concern. The ones who smiled when you cried and watched in silence. They knew what they were doing, feeding your trust slowly. They loved how much you needed them, until you didn't. Their care was conditional, their presence always strategic. But now your discernment has been sharpened by the Spirit. Michael didn't just expose the lie, he's cutting the cord. He's severing every soul tie, draining your divine momentum. You won't be bound to what was secretly binding you. Remember those moments where your spirit felt uneasy. Those glances, those pauses, those strange conversations, they were warnings. Soft alerts from heaven's alarms. You weren't wrong, you were just too loyal to accept it. But your loyalty must now align with your spiritual destiny. Michael is bringing balance back into your atmosphere. He is reclaiming every moment you gave in innocence. Every time you forgave what should have been confronted. Every time you excused behavior that slowly wore you down. Heaven has now drawn a line that cannot be crossed again. There is a reason you've been growing more distant lately. The discomfort was divine. It was preparation for release. When Michael heard your name in their mouth, he moved. He saw the duplicity, the laughter laced with jealousy. He saw how they copied you while secretly competing. They wanted your essence, but not your elevation. But what God placed in you cannot be duplicated. It's not in your clothes, your style, or your words. It's in your anointing, and no counterfeit can carry it. Michael is ensuring it remains uncontaminated by deceit. Let them speak. Let them gossip. Let them twist the story. Heaven has the full transcript. Nothing has been missed. You don't need to defend yourself. You only need to rise. Because what's being removed now is dead weight. You don't mourn the removal of mold from the foundation. You celebrate the clarity that saved your house from collapse. Michael is restoring the ground beneath your calling. He is resetting your relationships on truth, not appearances. Everything false must break before your next elevation. This exposure is the beginning of a safer, stronger future. Do not let nostalgia bring back what grace removed. God will never ask you to revisit what He rescued you from. The love you deserve will never ask you to shrink. The people meant for your future will never drain your soul. You are entering your refinement. Painful, yes, but holy. Because what's on the other side is freedom without fear, Aneta without ambition, love without hidden knives. Michael is your guard, your sword, your divine witness. And now, with your permission, he is finishing the separation. Let what's false collapse. What's true is on its way to you. If this message is piercing your spirit and helping you step into divine truth, consider giving a super chat or super thanks today. Your support of $20 helps us continue creating powerful, prophetic messages like this one. We are grateful for every seed you sow. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. You'll receive regular prophetic guidance, exclusive content, and spiritual tools to keep you aligned with your divine path. Type I'm rising to get blessing 5678. This isn't about revenge. It's about divine alignment. Archangel Michael doesn't waste time punishing shadows. He clears the space so your light can finally expand freely. You are not stepping into a battle, you're walking into truth. And truth has a way of purging what pretends to protect you. Those who used your vulnerability as strategy are exposed. Those who mirrored your kindness only to manipulate it, they are now being spiritually disarmed in full view of heaven. Michael stands at the threshold of this season with clarity. You are no longer prey for emotional predators in disguise. Your sensitivity was never a weakness. It was a radar. And what you detected early on but dismissed with grace was your spirit sounding alarms before the storm hit. But you loved through warning signs and forgiven offenses. You excused red flags because your heart wanted healing. Now your healing has arrived, not in silence, but with fire. Michael is not just a protector. He's a purifier of atmospheres. He removes access so you can reclaim your sacred space. The delay you felt wasn't punishment, it was protection. God was holding back blessings until your circle was cleaned. The ones who once had power over your mood will vanish. Because Michael is cutting emotional cords with precision. You won't feel drained after conversations anymore. You won't question if their love is real after every text. The fog is lifting. The emotional confusion is breaking. Because when heaven exposes, it also restores your peace. What left with them will be returned tenfold by God. You may lose familiar voices, but you're gaining clear truth. And truth will always feed your spirit in ways lies never could. This is your personal deliverance from soul-level sabotage. The masks are falling, and you're finally seeing clearly. You see now how they only showed up when it served them. How they vanished in your valley but reappeared in your harvest. How they claimed loyalty but never carried your burden. Michael saw every missed call during your darkest nights. Every fake cheer when you won, and every backhanded praise. He saw your name passed between lips without honor. And now, he declares, enough. The corruption ends here. No more sharing sacred energy with corrupted intent. No more tolerating what heaven has already rejected. You were never meant to keep proving your worth to them. Those who love you will never ask you to shrink in silence. Michael is giving you boldness now, to walk away without guilt, to release them without explanation, to close the door in peace. You are allowed to protect your calling. You are permitted to heal. And in this new season, protection will feel like separation. Let it come. Let the division happen. Let the exposure unfold. You are not losing a person. You are reclaiming your light. And those who truly belong will never be threatened by it. Michael walks before you now, ensuring it stays sacred. Type I am blessed to get the blessing 3636. Archangel Michael has gone ahead to seal the broken gate. The entry point they used, your kindness, has been closed. They will no longer feed off your mercy while poisoning your peace. This divine separation is a holy act of rescue, not cruelty. You are not being abandoned, you're being repositioned. Repositioned into rooms where your soul can breathe again. Where your name will be honored, not casually mishandled. Where your tears will be understood, not weaponized. Where your light will be welcomed, not dimmed by jealousy. Michael is making sure the next chapter honors your worth. You gave too much to those who gave you doubt in return. You smiled while breaking, hoping they'd notice the cracks. But they didn't, because their concern was never your healing. They studied your power, but never held space for your pain. They wanted the blessing of you, without carrying the burden. Michael knows that burden, they carried it with you silently. And now, heaven is releasing what you couldn't walk away from. You didn't miss the signs, you just loved it too deeply to stop. But this time, love must come with clarity, with balance, with boundaries. And Michael is fortifying those for you now. You'll soon notice how your mind feels quieter than before. That's the absence of spiritual interference, finally silenced. The anxiety you carried wasn't all yours. It was shared energy. You were holding on to what others projected in secret. Michael is cutting those unseen threads, one by one. The draining presence, the constant confusion, the guilt, all of it was never yours to carry. It was spiritual clutter. Now that heaven has intervened, the fog is lifting. You will hear your own voice again, strong, sure, sacred. And with that voice comes restoration you forgot to ask for. The ones who betrayed you emotionally will feel the shift. Not because you seek revenge, but because heaven defends. They will wonder why the connection feels hollow now, why their presence no longer affects your heart space. That's what happens when divine protection is activated. You are not bitter, you are sealed, and peace now governs you. Michael didn't just clear your path, he also blessed it. You are walking through a season guarded by angels, where only truth can travel with you. Only love can remain. The false must flee because the holy fire is too bright. No weapon formed in secret will prosper in this light. Every tongue that twisted your name will be silenced. Not by drama, but by distance, Michael's strategic distance. He is pulling you into safer spaces where peace leads, where your gifts aren't exploited, but respected, where your presence isn't tolerated, but deeply valued. You were never too much, they were simply too small. And now, God is expanding you where they cannot follow. They were the test. This is your reward, divine alignment, and peace that can be faked, borrowed, or bought. Type I am rising to get blessing 5678. Archangel Michael isn't just exposing darkness. He's restoring trust. Not just trust in others, but trust in your own sacred instincts. The voice you kept doubting, the gut feelings you silenced, they were divine nudges, heaven's language in your body. You were never meant to stay confused in a toxic cycle. You were chosen to walk in truth, even when it hurts. Michael is gently returning you to yourself with clarity. Piece by piece, he's rebuilding the intuition they tried to kill. Your inner knowing is awakening from spiritual suffocation. And this time, no one will convince you to dismiss it. They made you question yourself so they could stay hidden. Every time you sensed something was off, they gaslighted you. They played innocent to escape accountability for their patterns. But what was once unclear is now perfectly visible in the spirit. Michael has torn the veil between false peace and real truth. He's placed holy distance between you and their manipulation. Now you're able to see them not as they appeared, but as they are. Not with anger, but with finality. You are done carrying illusions. The year of second chances for hidden enemies is over. What once held you back has lost all spiritual power. You'll begin to see how peaceful love is when it's real. It doesn't provoke anxiety or require constant translation. Real love doesn't hide behind half-truths or fake apologies. It stands in the light, unafraid of your greatness or growth. Michael is removing every person who flinches at your shine. Those who use their proximity to control your momentum, they have lost their place, not by your hand, but by heaven's. Your elevation demanded a purification of your surroundings. This purge isn't punishment. It's spiritual preparation. You are being groomed for encounters that honor your soul. The people who use your softness as a weapon are now revealed. No longer can they stand beside you and pretend to protect you. Michael saw their hearts while they studied your weakness. He heard them speak of you when you weren't in a room. And not in prayer, but in strategy, in envy, in manipulation. Those secret meetings disguised as concern are being undone. You don't need to confront them. The Spirit already has. Your silence is louder now than your explanations ever were. And your peace is the loudest form of spiritual warfare. Heaven has ruled, your name will no longer be mishandled. The spiritual contract they signed with pretense has expired, and Michael has revoked the access they abused in secret. You are being spiritually repositioned out of enemy territory. Not all enemies scream, they whisper, they flatter, they mimic. But Michael discerns frequency, not just words. And your frequency is now too high for them to stay close. You are rising into spaces where only truth can survive. He's calling you out of confusion and into divine coherence. Your name is safe now. It is guarded in heavenly chambers. No more spiritual trespass. No more disguised betrayal. Type I am blessed to get the blessing 3636. Archangel Michael has redrawn the map of your spirit realm. Where chaos once lingered, divine order now begins to rise. He has swept the cores where deception was hiding. The people who studied you only to steal your rhythm, gone. The ones who performed loyalty while planning betrayal, removed. You've been pruned, not punished, refined, not rejected. Every subtraction is making room for sacred multiplication. Your future doesn't need emotional debt, it needs peace. And Michael is clearing all who owe you clarity they never gave. Heaven is wiping the slate, even if it leaves you standing alone. But you're not alone. You're surrounded by divine security. Michael walks behind you to protect your past from haunting you. He walks beside you to steady your present with grace. And he walks ahead of you, blazing a trail into sacred ground. Your steps are now lined with purpose, not performance. No more earning love from people who never intended to give it. No more seeking approval from hearts designed to reject you. Heaven says, they saw your value but hoped you wouldn't. Now you see, and now you rise. This is your becoming, not out of bitterness but out of obedience to your calling. The whispers that used to shake you now hold no weight. Because when Michael exposes, he also seals your soul. He protects your name from being used as spiritual currency. They cannot trade your trust for access anymore. They cannot linger in your light pretending to love it. Michael has dismantled their disguise at the root. You will no longer second-guess what the Spirit shows you. Your discernment has matured in fire, not comfort. And now it serves you, shields you, and speaks truth instantly. This is your upgrade. Emotional clarity ordained by heaven. Your silence is your confirmation. You no longer explain. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Let them fall away. The same mouths that misuse your name will be silenced, not through revenge, but by spiritual irrelevance. They will no longer hold weight in your world of purpose. Michael has placed you in a room where they cannot follow. They only knew a version of you that was still healing. But the healed version has no room for manipulation. The evolved you is a fortress, not a playground. You've become unshakeable where you were once vulnerable. The truth you prayed for has come. And yes, it stings. It stings because you loved them. You hoped for more. But now you are free from the cycle of hope and harm. Michael didn't just show you the truth, he rescued your spirit. He pulled you from the shadows of performative love. You are no longer entangled with counterfeit intentions. Your heart is being rewired for what is real, holy, and lasting. This is not the end of connection. It's the beginning of purity. You will now attract souls who nourish your destiny. Those who only wanted access are being shut out forever. Type I am rising to get blessing 5678. This next season will not carry the sound of old betrayal. Michael has muted every echo of manipulation and control. The people who thrived on your confusion can't reach you. Not because you built walls, but because heaven built a shield forged from every tear you cried in confusion. From every night you laid awake wondering if you were wrong. You were discerning what love disguised as harm. Now the disguise is gone. The mask has slipped. It is finished. Michael made sure you would see it with no room for denial. This is clarity, not cruelty, and it's setting your soul free. There was power in their presence, but it was counterfeit. It drew from your light while dimming your direction. They celebrated you just enough to keep you from leaving, but never so much that you'd outgrow their control. Michael saw their pattern before you saw the signs. He allowed the silence to linger just long enough for truth. Now the exposure has arrived and you are not shaken, because what's being removed cannot carry your calling. You are stepping into environments that celebrate your core, where love speaks truth, and truth no longer wounds. You've been unlearning pain disguised as partnership. Every memory that used to sting is losing its voice now, because heaven rewrites stories through deliverance. Michael isn't just pulling people out, he's pulling roots out. Roots of doubt, guilt, and misplaced compassion. You no longer feel guilty for protecting your energy. That's not selfishness. It's spiritual wisdom in motion. You are not hard-hearted. You are heaven-hearted. Your kindness will still flow, but now it will be gated, because only those aligned with truth will have access. You were never meant to be everyone's safe space, especially not those who turned your grace into a tool. Michael is now guarding your essence like sacred fire. The days of emotional exploitation are over. You'll speak less, but carry more power in your presence. You'll explain less, but radiate more discernment in silence. Because elevation doesn't argue with what was left behind. It simply rises and lets clarity do the speaking. You are rising now, and what's true will recognize you. False connections will break under the weight of your becoming. This is what peace feels like, unapologetic and untouchable. Michael has secured your steps so no snake can slither back. Your life has become too holy for unclean attachments. Too focused for distractions masked as love. They thought you needed them to thrive, but they were wrong. You needed clarity. You needed Michael's confirmation. And now that you have it, you'll never settle for confusion again. The cost of peace is high, but you've paid it with your journey. And now your reward is spiritual alignment without apology. Let the separation be your sign. Freedom is here. If this message is piercing your spirit and helping you step into divine truth, consider giving a super chat or super thanks today. Your support of $20 helps us continue creating powerful, prophetic messages like this one. We are grateful for every seed you sow. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. You'll receive regular prophetic guidance, exclusive content, and spiritual tools to keep you aligned with your divine path. Type I am blessed to get the blessing 3636. Archangel Michael isn't just escorting betrayal out. He's escorting you into a realm of clean-hearted covenant. You've walked through fire, not to be destroyed, but refined. And now only what's been purified can walk beside you. Heaven is no longer tolerating leeches in your sacred circle. No one else will feed on your loyalty while starving your soul. The fake love that once comforted you is now unrecognizable. It doesn't fit your frequency anymore. It feels foreign. A discomfort is divine. It's your spirit resisting deception. You've been awakened, and the slumber of trust is broken. Michael saw how you tried to make excuses for their behavior, how you held on to their potential more than their patterns. But heaven doesn't anoint potential. It anoints authenticity. And authenticity cannot coexist with manipulation. You kept hoping they'd change because your heart was pure. But your hope became a trap that stalled your progress. Now Michael has cut the rope tied to false hope and delay. You are being untangled from agreements you never voiced. They claim you in public but abandon you in silence. Now heaven has unclaimed them on your behalf. Everything that left you second-guessing your worth is leaving. Not because they decided to walk away, but because God moved. When the divine makes a move, no force can reverse it. You don't need closure when the truth becomes your compass. Michael is walking ahead with a torch in hand, clearing your path. What was once confusing is now obvious. It had to end. Because what's coming requires no pretending, no draining. It only welcomes what feeds your calling and honors your core. This is your sanctuary season, where peace becomes non-negotiable. Where love doesn't make you question your intuition. The people who used to occupy your emotional space will no longer know how to access your heart's language. Because the vocabulary of betrayal can't speak to healed souls. Your spiritual dialect has changed. You speak clarity now. You speak self-respect. You speak no more silent suffering. Michael has translated your pain into spiritual power. The fire that burned you has now become your boundary. And those who once had access will find a locked gate. Because you're not who you were when they hurt you. You are resurrected, with eyes that refuse to close again. Let them wonder why your energy has changed. It's not bitterness. It's boundaries built by revelation. The revelation that not everyone who smiles is safe. That not all love is love, and not all care is sincere. Michael heard your name in the mouth of betrayal. But now, heaven will place your name in holy conversations. Rooms of honor, circles of light, tables of true covenant. What you've lost in familiarity, you'll gain in purity. You are no longer accessible to anything false. This is sacred ground, and you've been chosen to walk it. Type I'm rising to get blessing 5678. This part of your journey is the reward for your endurance. Archangel Michael watched you weep where you were unheard. He saw how you stayed quiet to keep the peace around chaos. But heaven is not asking you to carry what was never yours. They pretended to love you, but never protected your name. They smiled in your presence, but poisoned your absence. Yet Michael saw it all, and his judgment is just and swift. You're no longer in the hands of those who mishandled grace. Heaven has reclaimed your heart from their emotional trap. And now, your healing will echo louder than their betrayal. They won't know how to reach the version of you rising now. You're no longer bound to silence, guilt, or forced forgiveness. Your yes is now sacred. Your no carries spiritual authority. Michael has activated a firewall between you and pretenders. Even if they mimic love, they won't penetrate your peace. Because what you've gained in discernment cannot be undone. You don't need another apology. You needed the truth. And heaven has handed it to you with clarity and compassion. You're not hard, you're healed. You're not cold, you're clear. The fog is gone. The veil is torn. The lie has lost its grip. They thought your forgiveness would be permission to stay. But this time, your forgiveness comes with a boundary. You forgive, but you no longer fold. You release, but never return. Because what betrayed you cannot walk with you into blessing. Michael is your divine escort. He walks you past what hurt. He holds the gate while you enter your era of divine protection. An era where your spirit feels peace in every connection. Where your name is safe in the hearts that carry it. No more distortions. No more behind-the-scenes damage. You are now covered in angelic accuracy and holy light. The person you were when you tolerated confusion is gone. You now walk in authority that doesn't chase what left. Michael has unlocked a dimension where you only align. Align with truth. Align with love. Align with what feeds your soul. You don't owe access to anyone who twisted your trust. They taught you a lesson, but heaven sealed the exam. You passed. You survived. And now you're being rewarded. Not with noise, but with peace so deep it becomes armor. You step into sacred detachment from toxic ties. And the detachment is how elevation begins. This is the shift. You no longer beg to be understood. You no longer explain yourself to misaligned hearts. You no longer reach for those who never truly reached back. Because Archangel Michael heard your name misused and responded by restoring the dignity behind it. You are not a lesson for others to manipulate. You're a light. And no imitation of love can dim what heaven has lit. You've graduated from cycles into seasons. From confusion into clarity. From pretending into power. You're not who they left, you're who heaven called. Type I am blessed to get the blessing 3636. Archangel Michael now stands where betrayal once sat. He occupies the space they tried to control with silence. That place in your heart once rented by false affection, it has now been sealed by divine authority and peace. You were not abandoned. You were protected mid-strike. You didn't lose them. They lost access to a sacred soul. You are not bitter. You're wiser. Not wounded, but awakened. Heaven isn't punishing them. It's preserving you. Preserving your joy, your trust, your emotional clarity. Michael saw it all and said, "This ends here. You rise now." Your healing isn't just personal. It's prophetic. It's generational. The chains that held you were tied to deeper wounds. Wounds from childhood, from betrayal you never processed. Michael is not just clearing the surface. He's uprooting legacies. You're not only walking away, you're walking new paths. Paths your ancestors prayed for but never reached. This revelation is bigger than what they said about you. It's about what God is saying over your life now. And God is declaring, your name is mine. He is clean. Your story no longer belongs to betrayal. It belongs to glory. They said your name in manipulation, but heaven rewrote it. They tried to reduce you to gossip, but God redefined you. Their words may have spread, but none of it stuck to you, because Michael has cloaked your spirit in holy fire, and no lie can live where truth has taken root. They'll try to revisit the version of you that's gone, but she's been buried in grace and resurrected in clarity. They'll try to spark old conversations, reopen dead doors, but they won't recognize this frequency, this level, this you. You are untouchable where you are now, by divine design. This is what heavenly vengeance looks like. Pure silence. No backlight. No announcements. Just divine detachment. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them wonder why you glowed. It's because Michael cut the cords they thought you needed. You were never meant to survive by scraps of affection. You were designed to thrive in rooms where truth reigns. The place you're going doesn't require emotional gymnastics. It only requires presence, pure, protected, powerful presence. You're becoming magnetic to what is holy and repelling the rest. This is spiritual justice unfolding gently, yet unmistakably. Every time you tried to explain yourself, let it go. Every moment you doubted your own discernment, release it. Every night you cried after feeling betrayed, God counted it. And now every tear is returning as a harvest of restoration. Not revenge but repair. Not punishment but divine promotion. Michael didn't just cut them off, he pulled you into the light. You've left the land of confusion and entered holy confidence. A confidence not built in ego but in eternal alignment. You now walk with power because you know who sees you. Heaven sees you, and heaven protects its chosen ones. Type I am rising to get blessing 5678. Your name is now guarded like a sealed scroll in heaven. Archangel Michael stands at its gates, sword drawn in fire. No impure hand can touch what was once taken for granted. You've been reintroduced to yourself, unfiltered and whole. This clarity, this strength, this peace, it was always in you. But it took exposure to draw out the warrior God designed. Betrayal became the mirror that showed your true reflection. Not a victim of deceit, but a vessel of divine resilience. Heaven didn't just pull you out. It pulled power from you. Power that was hidden beneath years of loving the wrong ones. Let them stare in silence as your glow returns without them. Not because you want revenge, but because you're real now. Michael has deleted every spiritual breadcrumb they left. No trace, no echo, no spiritual access remains. What once drained you now disgusts you, and that's freedom. Because exposure is not just about them, it's about you too. Seeing how your kindness gave chances to snakes in disguise. And still you loved. Still you forgave. Still you endured. But now your love is wiser, and your mercy has margins. This is holy emotional intelligence rising in real time. You don't miss them, you miss who you thought they were. But that version never existed, only a projection in disguise. And now Michael has broken the spell, shattered the illusion. The fantasy has fallen, and truth is all that remains. It may ache for a while, but it will never confuse you again. Because your spirit finally sees what your heart feared to admit. They were never assigned. They were a distraction. Never covenant. Only camouflage. never ruined, only present. But the moment you awakened, their disguise disintegrated. They were never equipped to love what they couldn't manipulate. Michael is making sure your next season is deception-proof. What's coming will not flatter you. It will see you. It will honor your depth, not fear it. Celebrate your light, not copy it. You will never again be in a room where love feels like labor, or in a bond that thrives on your silence and submission. This time, love will not cost your clarity. It will partner with your purpose and protect your peace. This is divine compatibility, not temporary connection. Michael has made you magnetic to truth and allergic to lies. Your very presence now repels what used to feel familiar. Don't second-guess the distance. It's divine. Let it stretch. Let those who were pretending drift out of your atmosphere. Your silence is confirmation. Your absence is mercy. Because your name can no longer be handled carelessly. Heaven has invested too much in your healing to risk relapse. Michael stands as your sentinel, making the boundary known. Your soul now breathes in places it once suffocated. And your joy returns not in noise but in sacred quiet. Because when heaven seals your name, peace follows it. And that peace is your proof that you've outgrown the pain. Type I am blessed to get the blessing 3636. Archangel Michael now walks before you in new authority. He isn't just removing what hurt. You're being reintroduced. Reintroduced to your voice, your strength, your intuition. That inner knowing they tried to mute has become your compass. You no longer shrink to keep others comfortable around you. Their absence created the space for heaven to rebuild your worth. Your name is no longer handed out like a favor to the unworthy. It is engraved in heaven's records, not scribbled in passing. They used it carelessly, but Michael has covered it in fire. A fire that burns away pretense and purifies every attachment. You'll begin to notice a new resistance in your spirit. Not resistance from fear, but from discernment and grace. The same way you once ignored the unease in your chest, you now honor every nudge, every shift, every silence. Because your clarity caused you betrayal, but it bought you peace. This level of alignment didn't come cheap. It came through fire. Fire that burned illusions, broke trauma bonds, cleared the fog. And now, all that remains is truth, and truth needs no disguise. You are no longer a magnet to what manipulates love. You are a sanctuary for what reflects it in truth. Let the memory fade. Let the lesson remain. Let heaven heal. You're not required to keep replaying the betrayal in your mind. Michael has removed the hook their words left in your soul. No more circling their actions trying to find where you failed. You didn't fail. They just couldn't feed off you anymore. And when access ends, exposure begins. That's what happened. Their mask cracked because your spirit started seeing clearly. Now, every smile that lacks sincerity won't sit right with you. That's not harshness. It's growth. That's not ego. It's alignment. You're becoming what they never expected. Untouchable. God isn't just healing your heart. He's preserving your future. The people coming next will speak your name in prayer. They will carry your story in reverence, not rumor. Michael is orchestrating divine collisions, not casual meetings. Where peace won't feel foreign, and love won't feel earned. Where your gifts are honored without expectation of silence. You are now drawn only to what reflects the heaven in you. And anything that isn't rooted in truth will repel itself naturally. This is spiritual gravity doing its sacred work in you. Let it pull you forward into clean spaces, untainted by falsehood. You've outgrown survival. You've graduated from tolerance. Your soul now hungers for what aligns with divine rhythm. Michael is guiding you, not just away from betrayal, but into a deeper, more powerful version of yourself. One that no longer overextends to be understood. One that no longer doubts what it knows in the spirit. You don't have to prove the betrayal happened. God saw it, and because heaven witnessed it, heaven will redeem it. This is not just closure, it's consecration. You're no longer where they left you. You're where heaven called. Type I'm rising to get blessing 5678. You are not hard to love. You were just surrounded by hearts too small to hold you. That truth alone would have saved you years of confusion. But Archangel Michael allowed you to walk through betrayal so that when love finally arrives in truth, you will recognize it without hesitation. This final revelation is not punishment, it's preparation. Preparation for the kind of life where your name is spoken in honor. Where you're no longer the secret strength behind someone's shadow. Where you're no longer reduced to what people can take from you. Where you're celebrated for your fullness, not just tolerated for your silence. And now, the time has come. They studied your generosity but never protected your spirit. They mimicked your language of love but refused to learn its truth. You showed up with your whole heart while they brought pieces. Pieces of loyalty, pieces of truth, pieces of affection, never the full thing. And still, you stayed. Because loyalty was never amassed for you. It was your language, your code, your covenant. Michael knows. He watched you water gardens that never grew. Watched you bend in rooms where you should have stood tall. Watched you become smaller just to make others feel safe. But that season is over. Heaven has called you back to your rightful size. Your anointing is not soft. It is not timid. It is not up for compromise. It is holy, loud, unwavering, and it demands truth in all things. That's why betrayal felt so sharp. It wasn't just personal. It was spiritual warfare disguised as connection. Michael stood in those moments when your soul whispered, "This doesn't feel right," and your mind tried to justify it. But heaven has waited long enough for you to stop second-guessing. Now the shift is permanent. You will never tolerate manipulation again. You will never entertain hearts that use your light to warm their shadows. You will never mistake proximity for purpose. This next phase of your life will require you to forget their version of you. The version they built from misunderstanding and projection. The version they used to justify how they mistreated you. Michael has stripped that false image away completely. Now you are standing in your divine reflection, pure, restored, precise. No more fog. No more spiritual guessing games. You see it now. All of it. And that's your freedom. You no longer need the apology. You needed the awareness. And with that awareness comes protection that cannot be undone. They cannot curse what they can no longer access. Let your stillness speak now. Let your elevation answer their confusion. Let your peace echo in the places where your name was mishandled. Michael didn't just rescue you from betrayal, he rescued your identity. You were never the weak one. You were the awake one. You were never too much. You were in the wrong room. And now, God has prepared a new space, unpolluted, unbothered, where your discernment is not intimidating but respected, where your empathy is not abused but honored, where you no longer have to fight to be heard or shrink to belong. This is where the real ones find you, the ones sent, not assigned by ego but by God. It won't be lonely, just quiet enough for clarity to flourish. And in that quiet, your spirit will rest. You will no longer flinch when someone says your name, because it is safe now. It is sacred now. It is sealed now. Heaven has assigned Michael to guard it with fire. That fire will protect your mind, your heart, your path, and your peace. Anyone who comes near you with hidden motives will be exposed before arrival. You don't have to see everything, Michael sees it all. You just have to stay aligned, stay clear, and stay elevated. Heaven has you covered. Fully. Finally. Duevu. Type I am chosen to get blessing 1212. Archangel Michael is not just cutting ties. He's restoring timelines. The delay you felt was never denial. It was divine protection. Every relationship that collapsed under truth made room for destiny. Heaven saw how long you tolerated confusion in the name of love. How you silenced your own voice to preserve false peace. But now, your voice is your weapon, and your peace is your compass. Michael has declared that no one will enter your life wearing a mask again. Not spiritually, emotionally, or energetically, only truth can remain. Your aura now rejects dishonor. Your atmosphere repels deception. You are surrounded by a filter of divine discernment and holy fire. They never expected you to wake up. What you did, they never thought you'd stop blaming yourself. But you have. And now that you're no longer accessible to falsehood, you're dangerous. Not in cruelty, but in clarity, because clear people disrupt control. Michael has equipped you with a new language of alignment. A language where your no doesn't require explanation. Where your boundaries are no longer up for negotiation. They'll say you've changed, but heaven says you've returned. Return to the version of you before the wound, before the lie. You are not evolving into someone new. You're remembering who you are. Every spiritual parasite that once fed on your light has been removed. And what they tried to steal, your confidence, your joy, your name, God is restoring in double portion. But this time, it will say, because you are no longer giving from an empty, unguarded place. You've become intentional with your presence, sacred with your energy. And that sacredness is why the next season will look so different. Michael is aligning you with people who mirror your integrity, with places that support your purpose, not suppress your power. You've been hidden long enough. It's time to be revealed in glory. This isn't survival anymore. This is your unveiling. No more chasing explanations. No more Morty who left. If they had the capacity to honor you, they never would have hurt you. And since they didn't, heaven did what you were too loyal to do. It removed them with silence and replaced them with clarity. You don't have to fear what's ahead. You were built for this. Your wounds taught you boundaries. Your battles trained your vision. Your tears baptized your discernment. And now, you are ready. Michael has lit the path before you. Follow it with confidence. Because what's waiting is real. It's clean. It's heaven sent. This is your season of divine recognition and irreversible peace. Type I am chosen to get blessing 9090. Archangel Michael stands over you now, not in battle, but in blessing. The sword that once cut away the false is now a symbol of your freedom. The silence that followed betrayal has become your sanctuary. You no longer carry the weight of being misunderstood, because heaven has understood you all along. The pain that once clouded your vision has become the lens through which you now see with clarity. Your name, once passed through mouths that pretended to love you, is now safe in the records of heaven. It is protected, sealed, and held in divine reverence. They spoke of you in manipulation, but God is speaking of you in restoration. Michael heard it, God recorded it, and now justice has come, not through vengeance but through vindication. You don't need them to say sorry. Heaven already settled it. Now you walk into a season of divine preservation. No more explaining. No more proving. No more hoping for changed hearts and unchanged people. The chapter is closed, not with bitterness, but with power. Let those who could not love you in truth become a distant echo. They were a part of the process, but they will not be part of the promise. This is your confirmation. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. Michael stands beside you. God surrounds you. Peace goes before you. You are covered in light so holy, darkness cannot enter it again. Go forward now, not with fear, but with fire. Not with revenge, but with resurrection. The people who truly carry your name in love are coming. The spaces that welcome your light without envy are opening. The path ahead is clear, because heaven carved it for you. They thought they silenced you, but they only made you sacred. If this message is piercing your spirit and helping you step into divine truth, consider giving a super chat or super thanks today. Your support of $20 helps us continue creating powerful, prophetic messages like this one. We are grateful for every seed you sow. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. You'll receive regular prophetic guidance, exclusive content, and spiritual tools to keep you aligned with your divine path. Type I am chosen to get blessing 7474. Type Amen if you're ready to walk in divine clarity. Type thank you, Michael, if you know you're protected. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of everything you truly deserve.